Hey, you just missed the most embarrassing thing ever. This is Tuesday, November 13th, and we're going to get into finishing Annabel Lee and love and why death and fun and stuff like that. Let's see, from there, there's a basketball game tonight for house points, although if you're at home, you probably can't go to it because you're busy being dead. But for the rest of us, we get house points if we go to it. Book report work day tomorrow. You can, and the idiom thing is due tomorrow too, so you can turn that in. And see, can drive for B points does not start today. He ends on Friday. Silly of me. And then you have a bell work. For the bell work, you have 3 sentences you're going to break down. My family is coming to the early show or the later one. My brother will go to the dinner and have fun. And 3, after the musical, we will get some ice cream. Because once again, there's a musical coming up on Friday.
Buy your ticket.
And then, hashtag buy your tickets. And then once again, I did put in prepositions into this one since we have, eventually I'll try to make one even more prepositions, but unlike nouns and verbs and adjectives, I can't put a whole bunch of prepositions into a sentence because it just gets confusing. But I can at least put one in each one. And so we managed that and mark your subjects and verbs. Unfortunately, those of you doing the home game, you're going to have to pause it because we're not going to be going over the answers right now. We have to go back to Annabel Lee. So get that done, and then you can come back and watch the rest of it from there. Welcome back, those of you who just unpaused the home game. We've missed you this whole time. What we have from here is, once again, to remind you for your idioms. The biggest issue I've seen with kids showing me theirs early are 2 things. 1, their pictures are tiny and in the middle. And 2, their sentences are not sentences. They're starting with just phrases. You cannot start a sentence with the preposition to, for the most part. If you just put, to kill someone with a punch is not a complete sentence. Or to do a really good job is not a complete sentence. You're going to have subjects and verbs. Make sure you're saying who is doing it, and starting off with people or you or something like that. So make sure you have complete sentences. If you're not sure, you are more than welcome to have me check it if you have it today, or you can send me a remind message and I can check it for you that way. But if you are unsure, let me know and I'm happy to try and help you out. Completely up to you. Ghost got revenge. You know how them their ghosty things are. Nicely done. There, keep that ghost happy. Stop it, Casper. All right, so then to our poemy about dead girls. Oh, wait. Before we get to poems about dead girls, on your handout, I'm going to have you write down the phrase refrain, because it's going to be popping up in some of the stuff we're doing. And so probably somewhere near Annabel Lee, we're going to have you jot down this note, just refrain, and then we're going to give you a definition to go along with it. It's not super tough. See, with refrain, if you do music, there's a chance you know what a refrain is because it pops up in songs quite a bit. It is different than the verb refrain, like you should refrain from talking or I'm going to throat punch you. That is a different thing. This is refrain, which is a noun, which is a thing that shows up in poems and songs. Those of you who are singery, do you know what a refrain in a song is? DeLong, because you rhyme with song.
It's kind of like a chorus, like it's something that keeps like coming up again and again.
Nailed it. Refrain in poetry is the same thing. It's going to be a thing that keeps showing up multiple times. It's a line that gets repeated in a poem. So a refrain is just a repeated line. And that definition is going to disappear in just a moment, because I figure you can just write that down from memory. Refrain, repeated line. I mean, that's what the first 2 letters of refrain stands for. Meaning to do again. And then frain, meaning line in poetry. Pretty sure that's how the Latin breaks down. The last time I looked it up, which was never. So in our poem, Annabel Lee, and here's you're going to get a chance to mark on there to try and make it easier for you to cheat off yourself in the future for quizzes and tests, we have 2 refrains that show up in Annabel Lee. Can you find one of my, well, there's a first one and then a second one. Mal?
It's like by the name of Annabel Lee or My Beautiful Annabel Lee.
Good, that's the second one, so I have to do the first one first, and we'll come back to you on that one, so we don't get too excited yet. We'll come. Marma?
In a Kingdom by the Sea.
That's the first one, In a Kingdom by the Sea, which pops up a whole bunch of times throughout it. Mal, what's the second one?
By the name of Annabel Lee or My Beautiful
There you go. Something refers to Annabel Lee. So those are the 2 repeating refrains that pop up in there. If you want to mark them on yours, you're more than welcome to. If you don't want to, and you want to just like, I'll leave it a mystery and a surprise, I'm fine with that too. So that's how refrains work. Pretty much, you just go through there and try to find some line that gets repeated. Sometimes it gets repeated a lot. Sometimes it gets repeated once, like in our caterpillar poem. It was just repeated one time. It had like those first 2 lines at the beginning, and then repeated those first 2 lines at the very end. Still counts as a refrain, even though it's just repeated that one time. And Annabel Lee just seems to work well, or beats it into you a whole bunch of times. Speaking of beating things into you, let's get to our actual poem thing from there. With our first stanza we got into with Annabel Lee, let's see the learning that happened. Where's our poem taking place?
In a kingdom.
Nicely done. Just like it rhymed. In a kingdom down by the sea. Who is our main-ish character?
Annabel Lee.
Annabel Lee. And then who's the other character? Speaker, who we refer to as Dude, because Speaker's way too long. So we have Dude and we have Annabel Lee. And how do Dude and Annabel Lee feel about each other?
Like each other.
That's a lot of likes. Nicely done. So they really like each other. So much that little light bubbles form above them. And then we got to the first line of the poem. It was many and many a year ago, which is an allusion, meaning a reference to something you've already known. And what is it an allusion to? Because how do fairy tales begin? Nicely done. By the way, Star Wars refers to the same thing. So at the beginning of Star Wars, where it says, like, in a galaxy far, far away, there was a young boy who stabbed
A long time ago.
And so it's the same idea. That is also an allusion to the exact same thing. And then we have, let's see, they love each other, things are great. And we got to stanza 2. Stanza 2, where it says, I was a child and she was a child and we're trying not to be creepy. Yep, that's still later in the poem. What is it? Well, how old is it we're referring to them being? Teenager works for me. So somewhere in that teen. But they love each other with a love that is more than love when we get to our awkward love ladder. Hopefully you guys went home to the dinner table last night and like, Mommy, Daddy, you're on the bottom of my love ladder. You're like, I don't know what that means. Like, it's an English thing. And so they have the fact that they have their love ladder. They get to climb to the top and then put the ladder on top and then keep on going.
The bottom.
So much so that little love bubbles form every time they look at each other. And a little love, love. So much so that we have winged seraphs hanging out in heaven who notice all these love bubbles coming up and popping in front of them. And what are winged seraphs?
Concentrated love.
Nicely done. Wait for the fancy answer.
Concentrated
love. So much when they little flap their little wings, it just makes a little like every time they flap their wings, because that's how much love they have. But these concentrated love beings begin to have an emotion they've never had before when these love bubbles from these 2 humans pop in front of them. And what emotion do they feel?
Jealousy.
Nicely done. And what word means jealousy?
Coveting.
Just making sure on the same thing.
What?
So the coveting, and so that's when they get jealous of these humans who have love that is stronger than them. Stanza 3, our poem takes a turn. What happens? Well, no, let's go with. What natural event occurs in stanza 3 which is going to lead to bad things happening?
Storm.
Wind. What temperature is our wind?
Cold.
Normal wind, hot wind just makes it more fun, but cold wind, I said, here we go. And then go away. So we have the cold wind that blows, and then her kinsmen come and kidnap her. Kinsmen. And what are kinsmen? Her kinsmen are highborn, which means or Kardashian, all similes, nicely done. Or not similes, synonyms. And so her Kardashian kinsmen come and they grab her and drag her and throw her into a sepulcher as a punishment. And what is a sepulcher?
A grave.
Above ground burial.
The mausoleum. It's important that it's an above ground gravy thing, because that's going to come in later on. So not like burying her underground, but an above ground tombey thing. And so if we're putting her into a sepulcher, what does that mean happened to her?
She did. Rest in peace.
Woo. Woo. And so we threw her into the sepulcher because she done did. Which, roughly about where we got with you guys yesterday, Dude does not take this well. Oh, because also we find out what probably killed her.
Angels.
No, I didn't say who, I said what.
The wind.
Nicely done. And how does wind kill a person?
Super cold.
And that's
Wind chill.
Did we get to my of what's probably going to cause her to die? And here's where Dude ends up having issues. Because once Annabel Lee dies, their love is so strong, it's like part of him is missing. And when that part of him is missing, you would think it'd be part of his heart, but apparently it's part of his brain. Because he starts to go what we call insane. He buys a ticket on the crazy train, and not only does he buy a ticket, he goes and punches out the conductor and says, "I got this!" and pushes it straight down. Because he starts to lose it. When we get to our next stanza, he starts to convince people, or attempt to convince people, it was not an accident that she died. While we were wandering along the beach full of love, she did not accidentally die from cold wind. No, she was murdered.
By geeked angels.
And who does he claim does the murdering?
Sarah.
The ain't. And what weapon did they use? Good job. Nicely done. Way to play our game of clue. And then where was it located?
At the beach.
So you have on the beach with the angels and then the wind. And they flap their little assassination wings. Assassination! And it goes down there. And assassin. And they end up assassinating her and then dropping her down dead. Now, the issue comes up. Mr. Brovicast, if they're trying to assassinate and kill the love, why not kill both of them? Solid question. Except that would not solve the angels' issue. Because why are they killing one of them in the first place?
So their love can't be
To
together.
stop their love. So what happens if you kill both of them?
They live together in the afterlife.
And then they go back, and so you have like their love, now they're both dead, and they go from their normal love, and then it gets multiplied by angel love, and become like angel superheroes and fight crime. And so because of that, the angels, being the malicious, evil creatures we all know they are, they end up just assassinating one of them. And so she falls down dead, and he's like, no! Thus, they separate, their love gets weakened, and the angels win, because that's what wicked, horrible angels do. Mr. Brovicast, couldn't he just like, and then go down and meet? Well, the thing is, depending on your religion, typically if you go, you don't go that way, you go a different way. Thus, the angels win again. Nor can you try and trick the big guy, girl, turtle that you believe in. You're like, what if I just go dive in the water and the sharks eat me? Oh, no. Well, once again, I don't think you can trick him, her, turtle. And they're like, nice try. Down you go. And so because of that, you still get separated. Angels still win no matter what. Here's the problem. Most people don't buy into the idea of evil angels going out and attacking random women on the beach. So, dude's having trouble convincing people of this as he's wandering around town. And that's why when I read that stanza, it was the whole, and that's why everybody in this town knows, yes, it was the angels. Because he's losing it. He's trying to convince everybody around him, the angels did it. The angels killed her. The angels are coming. You got to watch out. They're going to get you. They're going to get your women. And so they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. The angels are coming down, and they're just killing women for you. He's like, yeah, they're going to get you. Like, okay, you need to settle down a little bit. And he's having trouble convincing everybody that it was the angels, because apparently not everyone's as crazy as him.
Wait, is it the angels? I'm so confused.
So we got to the, then, angel. We get to the fact that people keep talking to him and trying to convince him it's going to be okay. But he doesn't take that very well. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who are older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. His issue is, people keep going, listen, wait, how old is dude?
17.
They're like, listen, you're still a teenager. It's okay. We call that puppy love. When you fall in love, you're like, oh, you're going to find somebody. He's like, no, you're wrong. Because that whole people who are older and wiser, the old people are in town like, listen, you're going to get past this. You still have like 70 more years. You're going to be fine. But he's like, no, it doesn't matter. Just because you're old love, I spit on it. Just because you're wiser than me, you're wise, I spit on your love. Your love on the ladder's here. My love on the ladder's here. You have to wait a minute. It wasn't just the angels. And then he realizes the angels were not working by themselves. You're right. The angels wouldn't do this. I'm like, oh, thank God you're seeing. He's like, no. They had help. That's what the problem was. It wasn't just the angels. They had someone working with them. And who does he think was working with the angels?
Demons under the sea.
And he's convinced it was the demons working with the angels. And they're like, high five! And they were trying to work together to kill off his woman. When you get to a point in your life that you're convinced that not only are the angels coming after your women, but that the angels are high-fiving the demons in some kind of weird pact to take out all the women in your life, there's a chance, small one, you might have lost grasp of reality. But that's not how he sees it. He sees it as he is the only one seeing the truth and ratting out these horrible angels for what they truly are. But he's okay with it because he realizes he can't beat the angels and demons because his soul will never be dissevered from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. You guys know what dissever means?
Separated.
Yeah, it's a fancy word. Sever means like what I do with a sword and I over here with LaRue's arm. That's sever. Dissever means the same thing. It means you can never separate. He goes, listen, it's okay. People are like, oh, you finally figured out? He's like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. Our souls are still together. Like, oh, you're not any better at all. He's like, no, she's dead, but we're still together. And they're like, oh no, she's kind of dead. He's like, no, souls are together. You guys with your weak wussy love, yeah, your soul, but my soul, back together because I have a plan. And he has a plan to solve all of this. And he's going to prove to the angels that the angels can't win. They have everyone else fooled with their whole flappy wings and smiles. But no, he knows what's really going on. Stanza number 6. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in the sepulchre there by the sea.
No, ew.
In her tomb by the sounding sea.
Let's not.
So he just sleeps by a
We're
rotting
not
corpse?
done. Hold your thoughts. He tries to be good at the start. He's like, all right, listen. Y'all keep telling me I have to get past her. And I try, but every time he goes out at night and he can't sleep and he walks along the beach and looks up at the sky and he sees the moon, what happens to him when he sees the moon?
Memories.
He remembers Annabel Lee. He's like, ah, that moon is so beautiful. It's like I've not seen anything that beautiful since Annabel Lee. I can't. Wait, the stars. And he looks at the stars. And what do the stars make him think of?
Annabel Lee.
He's like, I can't. And he realizes no matter where he looks, he can't stop thinking about Annabel Lee because their souls are connected so well. So he realizes because their souls are connected, the best way to get revenge on these horrible angel creatures is to show them that just because you killed my woman doesn't mean you win. So he comes up with the perfect plan. And what is his perfect plan that he does at the
Sleep by
end?
her and her dead corpsing her body.
He goes down
Whatever the word is.
to the grave, opens the door, and then goes inside and sleeps next to her every night to prove to the angels that just because you killed her doesn't mean you...
So
creepy.
Wouldn't it be rotting though?
It would. Now, here's the problem that you guys are having. Remember our love ladder and how far up you will go on the love ladder. You can't grasp their level of love because your level of love is down here. Their level of love is up here. You will never have sleep next to dead, rotting corpse level of love. You're going to be down here with, ooh, that's ucky kind of love. And he's like, that's why you're never going to get the second ladder. Because your love is down here. Their love is so beautiful.
No, it's not. It's really
And that's where you have to understand where your love is compared to theirs. Because this is a beautiful love poem.
It's not though.
Ka.
I mean,
This says many things, yes.
it says my bride. Yeah, that's why like.
Are they married?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things he throws in. Bring it up there. One of the things he throws in there, which gets a little bit confusing, is that there's no real way of knowing on that one, unfortunately, where it's like, does he finally just snap all the way, where he thinks they're married, or does he go in there and have like a little ceremony next to her, or is that just his way of saying, from what I've read, and my best impressions, that's just his way of saying that he loves her so much that they're going to be together forever. So that they are technically married, or it could be the fact that maybe they were married. Who knows? I mean, at some point when you reach a level of hoogla, 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 it's kind of hard to tell what's all going through there.
Can you do that one more time?
Hoogla, hoogla, hoogla. I'm pretty sure that's ASL for a wee bit on the crazy side. There is a second way to read this poem, which is that he does not go that far, and that is ridiculous, and no one has love that is sleep next to creepy dead person love. Like, no, that would not happen. And the other way to read that final stanza says, every night he dreams that he is dead and in that tomb with her.
I like that
And then
better.
every day he wakes up and goes through his life, and then every night when he goes down, he dreams that he's laying in the tomb and he's dead along with her. Well, which one is it? Poe never tells us, because that's not the kind of game Poe plays. So instead, it's up to you to figure out and make your own decision. Is he sleep next to dead person level crazy love, or just no, wish you were in there with her kind of? And so he leaves it. It's sort of a modified version of The Lady and the Tiger, where you get to decide which ending you want to go with. Personally, I think there's plenty of evidence in there to figure out which direction you're going to go, but that's just me. I leave it up to you to decide which way you want to go. Some of you may need option 2 so that you can sleep at night. That sounds like a you issue. Yes.
Knowing Poe, it's probably the first one.
Probably. But we leave you a second option in case that makes you happy. Nate!
The reason he's crazy is not just because he lost Annabel Lee, but because he's dead. So he doesn't even have any of his brain. He didn't lose part of his brain.
Not dead.
It's just not there.
He's not dead.
You said he went crazy instead of losing a part of his
So
part, he
you're
lost
saying,
part of his brain.
you're saying that the death happened?
Yes.
You can read it that way if that brings you happiness. You okay, Drake?
Thank you.
That happens sometimes. It's painful. DeLong!
I like Nate's theory because if, like, in stanza 5,
Yeah.
when he's saying like they can't separate our souls, he killed himself, and so now he's
Whoa.
Down there.
and that's what stanza 6 is about.
Whoa.
The joy
Oh my
of
gosh.
poems is being able to read into it whatever brings your little heart happiness. And if a man killing himself brings your heart happiness, that's why we have therapy. Emerton!
Okay, so I have a modified version of Nate's theory.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that like in the beginning they're like both dead, like in like up there.
Yeah.
but like her like dying is like her being like reincarnated, but like when he goes to like sleep next to her corpse, like it's like him like visiting like her like on Earth, like as a person.
As long as we can appreciate the level of this love poem, and the fact that I chose to give you a love poem is what's important. Now, speaking of love, let's do Magic Lens, something that everybody loves.
No. I want to go because I have a very important meeting. It's actually important now.
Is it about Magic Lens?
It's about your class.
Interesting. Hang on, let me get my first volunteer, then we'll come back. Is this you, John?
I've gotta go.
That's my point. He has to go help a new
Oh,
student.
you're helping the new kid. That's fine.
It's
You're just
your
going to bring him back to my class anyway, but that works out fine.
Wait, he's going to be in 4th period?
No, he's in my 4th period.
That's what I said.
I know, it's a silly question. All
Yeah,
right,
he's
good
in
job.
your science class.
All right, so Nate, are you volunteering?
Yeah, for Magic Lens.
Have you gone before? Yeah, there you go.
Wait, is he like a
Do we have anyone besides me poking random students who are yelling at each other? Not you,
Well,
yes.
I'm the closest,
That
so
is
like
true.
you would.
You can poke me.
Do I have a volunteer? Are we working on the first one as a group? First one?
No, I can't go because I've already gone.
Right, so we have no one else who's brave
No, I just have a question.
yet? Well, hang on. I'm looking for my first volunteer.
You've gone.
All right. If you've gone, you can't go. We're looking for new. All right, so no one knew. We'll do it as a team. All right. So then, Sharp, what was your first quick question?
Oh, that wasn't a question. I was telling you that you're wonderful student in your 4th period. This is my 1st period and haven't met him yet.
Hall.
What was my question?
Right. So going
She
through.
wants to go.
My family is coming to the early show or the later one. So we'll go ahead and see how well you guys with our first one here. All right. My is.
An adjective.
What did we say it was?
Adjective.
Are we all at once?
Yes.
All of us?
Family.
Noun.
All right. It's not until we have a disagreement that we have to vote. As long as you all agree, we're fine. Is.
Verb.
Adjective.
Verb.
Verb.
Verb. Verb.
Coming.
Verb. Verb. Verb.
All right, again. To.
Preposition.
It's on our list of things.
It is, I know. It's like I tried to give you a
It
gift.
does.
Early.
Adjective.
All right. Show.
Noun.
You guys are on fire. Or.
Conjunction.
See, someone could have gotten a candy over this for a minute. Later.
Adjective.
One.
Noun.
Oh,
Haha.
nicely
A
done.
paradox.
The other ones will just have to be in your own brain. Tomorrow, book report work day. Enjoy knowing you'll never have the level of love that Poe did.